Hey everyone, in this video, I'm going to be sharing how to create urgency for an evergreen low ticket offer. So, a low ticket evergreen offer might look something like a digital course, a masterclass, a replay of a webinar that you have decided to make a paid offer. Now, why do we have these in the first place? I just want to touch on that because this plays a really important strategic role for your overall online presence and your funnel. This is what I call your toe dip offers. Now, you can have toe dip offers in a one-on-one perspective as well, but today we're going to discuss digital courses specifically. And the reason that these are so crucial in cementing someone's decision to work with you and why they're so powerful at accelerating someone's decision to work with you and collapsing the timeframes from stranger to paying client is because it's a brilliant exposure to you in your zone of genius. It's a brilliant exposure to you behind the scenes in terms of how you work, how you teach, how you mentor, how you coach, depending on obviously what niche or industry you are in. Now, that goes above and beyond just a free resource or opt-in, which of course is the preliminary step to getting someone in your world in the first instance. But a digital course of some description is going that deeper dive where people can really feel they're getting that first-hand experience of what it would be like to work with you in a closer proximity. And this can be a really brilliant precedent to someone signing up to work with you higher ticket. Now, a lot of the time, people can make the assumption that high ticket offers are simply exclusive from a pricing perspective to the majority of our audience, when really it's just the majority of your audience who potentially do have the income to invest, who are ready to change and act, just need more of that direct experience and exposure to you, to your methodologies, to your style, to how you work behind the scenes with clients in order for them to know wholeheartedly that you are the right choice to invest in further. Now, when we don't have those opportunities, obviously we're missing a massive step and a massive invitation to bring more people into our world more quickly and to have them springboard up in terms of our ascension model more rapidly. So where you can use a digital course in terms of that strategic positioning and through offering that toe dip experience can be in your social media posts. So next time that you are highlighting an important topic, you're sharing insight-driven content, which is ultimately the type of content that both engages and inspires action. You can segue into offering people the opportunity to dive into the digital course, which is going to reveal how exactly to do this and the steps and the framework and the tools, etc. So it's really going to accelerate someone's journey from where they are today to the very next point. And it's going to give them a clear, compelling, bite-sized outcome. The other opportunities are, of course, when someone signs up to your free opt-in resource on the thank you page. This is what is known as a tripwire. You can immediately offer them the opportunity to also dive into the paid low ticket evergreen option. Now, ideally, this should directly correlate to the same topic of your opt-in, otherwise it's just going to feel random. But this is a brilliant place because someone's just opted in, they're excited to receive the free resource, but the digital course positioning on the thank you page should then demonstrate the very next step that is completely logical, completely no-brainer. Of course, I'm going to also need this if I really want to master this particular topic area. And so it should feel like the next kind of graduation of whatever the free opt-in is. Now, something that you can play with and experiment with is then having a time-sensitive offer on that thank you page and that tripwire. So for example, it might be, the first hour of landing, they get a special discount or a time-sensitive opportunity where it is a lower price point versus, for example, your website or your typical sales pages, or that they unlock an extra bonus if they purchase via that page itself. The other options are, of course, in your email sequence, and this is what you should definitely be doing on a fairly frequent basis so that people are encouraged to take that very next step, which means that they have now shifted from subscriber to paying client. We know that people are 7 times more likely to buy from us if they've bought from us previously. So it doesn't matter if your paid evergreen product is $7, $10, $20, $30, $50, $100. they are still more likely to then buy from you again, provided, of course, that the content is relevant and actionable and useful. So in terms of creating urgency as to, well, why would someone jump into my evergreen digital course today versus next week versus next month? There's lots of things we can do around this. Now, the obvious things are, of course, time sensitive, genuine urgency, such as, if you purchase at this point in time, you will also unlock an additional bonus. So, for example, if it is a step-by-step workshop training, you might offer them the opportunity that if they purchase with this particular coupon code that they only got on this particular thank you page, for example, they could also unlock access to a Q&A session or a one-on-one of some description or a review or something that's got that more personalized access, which is always very, very compelling. It might be access to a private pop-up Facebook group. It might be access to a community. It might be access to an additional bonus training if they purchase today. We can also, of course, do flash sales. We can do discounted offers. But that's where we can have urgency that creates a genuine time sensitivity where if I'm interested in this topic, I may as well save money or I may as well get that extra thing. But there is, of course, importantly, the urgency of their situation. And that is ultimately what your messaging and your content should always be seeking to dial into. And this is where, again, that insight-driven content comes from, right? So why is it that they don't want to continue in their current status quo? What would it mean if they could finally get answers, clarity, direction, know-how, which they might be able to access in as little as 45-minute training, a 60-minute training, and a 3-part training that your offer promises in terms of an outcome, right? So right now they're in the dark, they're scrambling, and you have this bite-sized, laser-focused course, which is going to unlock so much clarity, confidence, that will allow them to progress in a very short space of time. That is hugely compelling to someone who right now is stuck, is wasting time, is wasting energy, is confused, is struggling or challenged on some level. That means they're not set up for success in an area that they want to be, right? They're not getting results that they would ideally love to be achieving and creating. So that is by far the most powerful way to sell an evergreen course, because it's the positioning of really understanding, showing that you understand and have identified exactly where they're at versus where they want to be. And you can demonstrate how this particular digital course, this evergreen masterclass, whatever it might be, this resource is going to bridge a gap. And it might be a very specific, very tangible. I mean, it should be very specific and very tangible, but it might be a very a small gap that it's bridging, depending on the level of detail the training goes into, the price point, etc. But it's a crucial next step that has to be in place in order for that person to move beyond it, right? They simply need that missing stepping stone, and then nothing else can happen otherwise. So that's what you really want to hone in on first and foremost in your content. You want to be speaking to the person who is ready to act, ready to move, and therefore ready to invest. And you tie in those outcomes, especially the anticipation of how quickly they could get those outcomes in this laser-focused resource that you're offering. And that might be, as I said, in as little as 60-minute training, as little as one day, and as little as 1 week. This is where you could be. This is what you could have in place, because I'm going to show you step by step with this guidance. And then, typically an evergreen offer is pretty low ticket price point. And so that's going to feel, again, like an obvious no-brainer, logical next step to take. But it's how you are building the case, as always, for any offer, guys, whether it's free or whether it's paid, whether it's low ticket, whether it's high ticket. It comes down to how are you building the case from reflecting the exact situation, scenario they're currently finding themselves in, as well as where they actually desire to be, and showing how this bridges the gap. It's honestly as simple as that, but that's the piece that so many miss, or so many people fail to really nail in their messaging and in their content, and so it doesn't feel like something we want to jump into right now. So laser focusing into your messaging, absolutely key. Insight-driven content where we're really showing we understand the situation and what is actually missing that this piece of content will plug the gap around. therein in itself is that sense of urgency. Like, why would you wait? Why would you continue struggling? Why would you continue wasting time? You know, this is in reach if you just have this one missing piece, as well as, of course, the other options for increasing that sense of urgency through time sensitivity, limited bonuses, access, flash sales and discounts. All of that can obviously enhance that further. But the most powerful way is, of course, to use this in your content so that you're not just directing people to comment and engage. You're not just directing people to come onto your email newsletter through your free resources and opt-ins, but you're also inviting them to take that next crucial step where it's a low path of resistance, it's a low overall commitment, but it's a crucial decision and intention that I'm ready for more. I'm ready to take this more seriously and ultimately get some answers and some results. So that is the key with urgency for an evergreen digital product. I hope this has been helpful to you.